Persona 5 Scramble, otherwise known as the yet-to-be formally announced Persona 5 Strikers in the West, finally got a public demo that dropped last week for Switch and PlayStation 4 in Japan only. So, as a die-hard Persona and Dynasty Warriors fan, I thought I might be able to give a unique impression on this pretty lengthy demo, as I've already put a few hours into the PlayStation 4 and Switch version. So, in case you don't know who I am, hi, my name is Spencer. I have been hosting the Shin Megami Tensei Network podcast for over 7 years, and that should cover my Persona credentials. And in case you were curious about my Dynasty Warriors credentials, I actually know that Dynasty Warriors 2 in Japan is Dynasty Warriors 1. Alright, but in all seriousness, I have been a huge fan of Omega Force and their work since the PlayStation 2, all the way up until recent titles, not counting Dynasty Warriors 9, for obvious reasons. Now, in case you were not aware, Persona 5 Scramble actually takes place after the events of Persona 5, and Atlus is practically selling this game as the full-on sequel to Persona 5 with its marketing in Japan so far. The story feels like a true follow-up to Persona 5 in every way, but the gameplay is developed by Omega Force from publisher Koei Tecmo. It's an interesting hybrid of Persona and Dynasty Warriors to deliver a really unique feeling action RPG. For this impressions video, I will mainly be covering the gameplay to stay as spoiler-free as possible for everyone who's curious. Just know, though, that this demo is a slice from the very beginning of the game's opening, and I'm sure there's going to offer a lot more variety in terms of gameplay and game modes when it fully releases. So you're mainly controlling Joker in this demo, who feels very fast and fluid, and it's going to feel really familiar to anyone who has played any of the Musou or Dynasty Warriors games in the past. This means you can attack with normal and heavy attacks and basically lay waste to hundreds of enemies in a matter of minutes. What makes P5S really unique, though, is what it brings over, in the form of your gun and your skills, which can be carried out by any persona that you're using at the time. The gun basically acts the same way as it does in P5, slowing time to a crawl and allowing you to attack multiple enemies if they are weak to bullets. But skills are what makes this warrior game feel much more at home for JRPG fans. When you hold down the skill button, time completely stands still, and you are giving a menu of choices that shows the area of attack for each individual skill and buff or debuff that you wish to carry out, and those consume SP. For each skill, it displays an area of attack, and it even notifies you when enemies are weak to certain skills or attacks. This mechanic is really sure to help a lot of players who are not as accustomed to action titles or played other Warriors games in the past. And also for players worried that this is going to make things too easy, you very quickly will run out of SP if you decide to spam attacks, and you are not able to gradually recover it over time, at least in this demo, along with your health. The only way to recover health was by use of items or by attacks like Dia. The difficulty options, though, will make this as brainlessly easy as you want or as deceptively hard, which was really nice because I know a lot of people kind of just messed around on normal and thought that it was pretty easy, and if you go into hard, at least for the demo, it does give you a good glimpse at what kind of variety the difficulties will offer different players. This is really appreciated mainly because the series, or all of the Warriors games that Omega Force have made, have a very bad habit of being basically labeled as button mashers. In combat, you're followed by up to 3 other Phantom Thieves helping you out along the way, but the demo only lets you play as Joker, so you get to fight alongside Ryuji, Mona, and the newcomer Sophia, but they're all AI controlled. Along with fighting in wide open areas like Shibuya Square, P5S shows off its more linear dungeons, in a less than glamorous sewer level, but still gives you a pretty good idea of how these will flow in the gameplay. The dungeon design includes light bits of platforming, optional sneaking if you want to avoid fights, as well as collectibles defined like treasure chests. This really helps things go along at a fast pace without letting the RPG core of leveling up and different mechanics like that get in the way of the fun. The demo finishes things off with a quick boss fight that introduces you to persona switching on the fly, how all-out attacks work, and how to trigger them, along with giving you another taste of how special attacks work, and in this game special attacks are called Showtime. There are tons of other little details I could go over, but it's out in less than 2 weeks, and I plan on giving the game a full proper review, and this demo has made me very confident about my decision to import a PlayStation 4 copy. P5S nails the look and feel of Persona 5 even better than Persona 5 Royal in my opinion. The music is made up of brand new tracks along with fan favorites from the original Persona 5 soundtrack, even includes some remixes. Also, it can't be stressed enough how much this game pops visually when you're playing on PlayStation 4. The game is running at 60 frames per second, and the closest this series has ever got to that before was with the Persona dancing games on PS4 back in 2018. The engine that Omega Force is using is really something to behold because the game even holds its own when playing on the Switch. The major difference in the visual department is that the PlayStation 4 runs at 1080p usually and 60 frames per second. While there are optional visual or performance modes, it still looks really good and runs at a really solid frame rate even on a standard PlayStation, not just a PlayStation 4 Pro. While the Switch version is clearly being pushed as hard as it can to replicate the style of Persona 5. It's doing everything it can to run at 720p and hold that 30 frames per second cap. But when playing in portable mode, it definitely falls short of both of those standards. So without seeing both visuals in person, it can kind of be a little hard to describe even when looking at videos of the visual difference between Switch and PlayStation 4. I found the most apt comparison is like playing Super Smash Bros. On Wii U and then going to the thick 3DS outline version, which still looked good in both respective platforms, but when played back to back, you can definitely tell which one is the more visually appealing and which one is pushing the hardware to its limits. The closest the Warriors series has ever really gotten to RPG mechanics is with the Dragon Quest Heroes spin-off series, but Persona 5 Scramble really seems like they've weaved the best parts of both genres to please fans and newcomers of Persona, Shin Megami Tensei, and Dynasty Warriors. Let me know what you guys think of the demo if you got a chance to play it already in the comments below, or you can hit me up on Twitter at SMTNetwork, or you can also find me at Torchwood4SP. Also, if you enjoyed this video and would like to see more content like it in the future, please subscribe, share the video to anyone you think might be interested. It really means a lot. I'm trying to get as much more content on this YouTube channel as I can outside of just doing the podcast. But if you would like to join the Shin Megami Tensei Network Facebook group, there are links below to find all of that stuff as well. Thanks for watching, guys, and be sure to let me know what you think.